Welcome, everybody, to the Modern Firm. I'm your host, Noah Scher, and today I'm joined by Dylan Williamson, CEO of Redline Business Advisors. Dylan, thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Noah.
Of course. So, Dylan, you've made an incredible transformation from Army Special Forces to now leading Redline Business Advisors. What inspired that shift, and what did you bring from your military experience into the world of finance? And then what translated well into finance and what maybe didn't?
Yeah, great questions. Definitely not a short answer. I did 7 years in special forces and enjoyed it immensely. But it was just time to get out, right? My time was done. I'd kind of accomplished the goals that I'd wanted to accomplish there. I had a son, and I missed the first like 9 months of his life, and it was time to leave. And so I got out. And I was always a mechanic by trade. I love wrenching on cars. I like working outside. My mom is a CPA, and I always grew up going, I'm never going to do what she does. Like, sits in front of a computer all day. That's lame.
Yep.
Went back to being a mechanic for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. Lost 10 pounds because I was sweating so much in the Texas heat. And, my body hurt. I wasn't a young spring chicken anymore, especially after 7 years in the Army. And I was like, you know what? I need to go back to college and actually go get my degree. And so I signed up for an online program to get a business degree. And my mom has a small CPA firm, and she's like, "Hey, why don't you come be a bookkeeper for me? You're going to school online. The firm is virtual. You can just sit at your computer, do school, do some bookkeeping, make ends meet." And I was like, sitting in the AC behind a computer doesn't sound so bad right now,
Sounds nice, yeah.
actually. And so that's what I did. And, I was a bookkeeper for a couple of years, and then we do tax prep and kind of moved over to the tax prep side. And our firm was growing. I kind of started doing more in the operational space, trying to, make things efficient, trying to regroup as we got bigger and we hired more people and did the operations for a while. And then last year kind of just took over as CEO, kind of really the outward facing, trying to give direction and purpose and grow the firm and go get more business. We grew to a 7-figure firm on referrals only, which was cool. It was awesome. It was like, hey, let's get this machine moving a little bit better, start doing some marketing and some sales and some podcasts. And
Totally.
um, so that's kind of how that happened. Wasn't planned. Wasn't planned at all. Half the time I was working here, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, not knowing it was going to be this after all. So, so yeah, that answers that question. And to your other question of what translated over, um, that was a bit of a more of a journey, right? I was never someone that, flaunted I was in the Army. I didn't tell anybody in that. I used to tell people if they did know I was in the Army that I was a mid-flight rocket repairman, which was just good entertainment. Because if they believe you, that says something, and if they laugh, that's it's kind of entertaining, and
Yeah.
but it's a part of you when you get out and you talk to people and you don't really realize that it is. And it took a little while. It took reading some books, took working on it to realize what needs to come from that is I'm good at getting things done, right? I'm good at being flexible. I'm good at providing motivation. I'm good at doing hard things. I've done hard things. Doing more hard things, you're capable of doing it. And growing a business is hard.
Yeah.
But that's fine. And I like to think outside the box. And so it wasn't so much military things that transferred over, just more kind of harnessing the experiences from it and saying, I can translate that to business by doing hard things, being capable of it, being capable of getting things done. And that's what I think matters.
Totally. Yeah. I could definitely see, being in those high pressure environments gives you an advantage when you're leading a business.
Absolutely.
So, like, what is your role at Redline and how has it evolved since you started?
Well, like I said, I went from being a peasant and, bottom at the bottom of it and trying to work all the way up.
Yeah.
And, I say my job now is to keep working myself out of a job, right? I was a bookkeeper. I enjoyed it, but I wanted to grow and learn more. So I moved to the tax side, and then I moved to the operations side. Now I moved to, kind of the executive side, and I'm working on building out our marketing and our sales department. I've got, after I'm done building the marketing and sales out, what I'd like to do is I want to add to our offering. We're currently working on, I'm going to school at night to learn data analytics, Power BI, to be able to provide custom dashboards to our clients statements of what their finances look like. Not everyone loves to read a P&L, right? A profit and loss and a balance sheet. So providing a dashboard that is what they want to see. And I'm excited to do that. So my job is to keep working myself out of a job, kind of establish the direction and thoughts and how I want something to be shaped, and then find people to do it better than me. And I get to move to the next thing. And I want to build the data analytics side out. And I'm going to hire somebody after I figure it out to do it better than me. And then I don't know what's next. I'll have to find another job to go work myself out of. But
Totally. That's very interesting, Dylan. It sounds like that's a very dynamic role. And what do you see as the next step in Redline's growth? Like, 5, 10 years down the line, where do you see you in Redline, and where do you see the company headed?
yeah, it's an interesting question we talk about a lot. Private equity is moving into the accounting space with a lot of force. Most accounting firms I know plan to sell out at some point, and that's not a bad way to go about it. Also, most accountants, most CPAs are not 30, right? It's a very much a shrinking professional field.
Yep.
And so it makes sense. It's a great retirement option for a lot of people. I am younger. I am hungry. I want to sell out to private equity. And I say sell out, that has probably the wrong connotation. I don't want to sell to them. I don't want to lose ownership and control. And I'd love to grow into the middle market, be able to be doing 30, 40, 50 million in revenue annually and servicing clients. And what does that look like? Most accounting field firms move upstream. They start charging more and more and more. They work with bigger companies, and that's kind of the route to go. Or we could stay the volume way. I love helping businesses, right? And we love those businesses that have crossed the $1 million or $2 million mark and trying to scale. Those are probably my favorite clients. And so do we play the volume game and get more and more of those and learn and grow with them? So it's an evolution for sure. I'm not sure where it's going to go. I don't really have any plans to sell to private equity anytime soon. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the goal is to grow, keep growing.
Totally, totally. And what's the biggest challenge that you see in your expertise that you see business owners face, like when they're trying to scale and trying to grow?
Marketing and sales. That's what we're going through right now. I think you kind of hit a point, and we've been burned by a couple of marketing firms because they've got a great sales pitch and it doesn't go as well as you think it is. And marketing's hard. Marketing's a total black hole of how do you even measure if it's working? How do you measure how many people saw a digital ad or something, right? So it's hard to continue to get new people through the door and to continue to maintain. It's nice in the accounting space. My clients are generally lifelong clients. We rarely lose them. We've got recurring revenue. I don't need to continue to work to replace revenue. While my clients stay, I bring a new client on, my revenue grows, right? So pretty nice as a business model works, but how do you continue to get more in the door? And I think that it's always more expensive than you think it is. And it's hard when you're a business owner who this is your baby, your business, your money in the business bank account is your money, that you need to start giving more of that away to other people to get growth. And you got to give it away first and get the growth later. And that's a big step. That's a hard thing to kind of overcome. It's nice. I'm in the public accounting space. I see a lot of different companies and behind the scenes on them. And the ones that are doing the best are the ones spending three, four, $500,000 a year on marketing and sales. And it's a scary big
Totally.
number, especially when you're not, too big of a firm yet.
Totally. Scaling definitely is tough, especially when you're juggling so many moving parts. So what would you say to firms who don't have the money to put in $300,000, $400,000 a year to market, and have a limited budget? What's your advice to grow
Yeah.
in there?
There's so many ways to skin a cat, right? And it's who's going to think outside the box and do things. Personally, we took a lot of our marketing in house, saved us a ton of money, started controlling it. I've never been a big fan of writing, but putting newsletters together, like doing that extra step here personally until it makes sense to pay someone else to do it is a slower way to scale. You can go get funding. There's plenty of people out there wanting to invest in businesses with good leadership, and you can go that route. You can do it yourself. You can grow over time as do some yourself, hire someone, do a little more as you continue to scale up. You just got to worry about cash flow management at a certain point, right? And we've as a firm, we use a cash flow management system. We tell our clients to use it. We love it. But as you're doing that, as you're marketing, as you get new clients coming on board, you got to make sure your operations work and evolve and don't fall apart and don't shatter and break. And now you aren't providing the service you want to put your name behind.
Totally. Yeah,
And so
those are
it's
amazing
definitely a
insights.
juggling act.
Yeah, totally, totally. And I think that discipline and accountability are kind of the cores of growth. And so what does that look like in a business setting for you?
Yeah, the nice thing about accounting is everything's project based, right? Closing out your books is a project that has a defined start and defined finish. And so, one of the things that I heard that I really loved that I say a lot is like we value and reward achievement, not activity. And we do that in a number of ways, but I've had employees, I know people that they work, man, they are doing stuff, they are working, they are there 50 hours a week, they're going to town, yet nothing is getting done. And you're like, what? I see them, they're
Yeah,
working, like they're working real hard, they're putting their heart and soul into it, but there's no achievement, there's no result from all that activity. And so, really working to reward success and achievement. And we do that through, we do unlimited PTO. We've had complex, comprehensive PTO plans. And at the end of the day, hey, if you finish all your work, because it's possible, you can do that here, and it's Friday at noon, please go be with your family. I don't care. Don't sit at your desk because you want your light to stay green till 5 o'clock. Like that's
yeah,
not like get your work done, do it well, and go be with your family, right? In the army, we used to say, are we working to time or are we working to standard? Right? Because some days they'd come in, they'd say, hey, the commanding officer's here. You're working till 5 o'clock. It's like, all right, we're working for time today. Take it nice and slow. No need to rush anything. We're here till 5 o'clock. Or are we working to standard? Hey, as soon as you guys get this project done, you can go home. It's like, all right, let's rock and roll. Let's get this project
total
done
up.
and let's go home. And so,
Yeah.
I tell everyone we work to standard here, right? Get your job done, do it well, go home. You don't need to sit there with your light green till rip 5 o'clock.
And I think that's the best way of approaching, especially compared to previous generations where we're just like, hey, work as hard as you can, regardless if things get done or not. And that actually lowers productivity, like if you give people an incentive, hey, you complete all the work, you get the project done, you go enjoy yourself, you know what I mean? And so how is Redline implementing that, and how is their advisory approach, different from other firms? What differentiates Redline?
Yeah, great question. We like to be full service from A to Z, from your bookkeeping to your controller to your advisor to your tax strategist to your tax preparer, right? We are your accounting department, and we generally do it for cheaper than having one bookkeeper. Not to say we're cheap, but when you look at hiring someone that knows what they're doing versus getting an entire firm, we probably beat that price.
For sure.
But we do a couple of things different. I do value pricing out of the gate, and it's flat and fixed every month. We don't bill anything hourly whatsoever. And I did that because I want the negative connotation of contacting us. We're your advisor. You shouldn't go, ooh, I don't know if I want to call them because they're going to hit that timer and I'm going to get a bill for calling them, right? Like, no, please call us. Please ask questions. Let's think about it. If I find out you bought 4 investment properties last year in April when I'm doing your tax return, I'm going to be mad,
Yeah,
right? Like there's literally no negative connotation to call and get our opinion. And
totally.
our slogan is it starts with the books. And that's true because once you have a good set of financials, you can actually make decisions and do analysis and know where you're at and what your goals are, what your budget is, and so I think that's what differentiates us. I want you to call us. I want to hear from you. We want to have personality. We try not to be your lame accountants with, the personality of paint drying.
For sure. That's actually a really, really interesting approach.
And it's
It sounds
worked
like you're
out well
doing,
for us, and I like it, and I love our clients.
yeah,
I get excited when some of our clients call, especially, we work with some private equity firms. They call and you're like, oh man, I have absolutely no idea where this conversation is about to go. And it just makes it enjoyable. I'd, borderline say some of our clients are friends, and I want to continue that. And to me, that's a challenge is as we grow, as we get more employees, how do we make sure that one, the company culture stays healthy, and two, what we're given to our clients stays what we designed it to be.
100%. Yeah. And I love how you guys are doing that platform of, the one-time fee. And then it's like you're an actual advisor, like you said, not just billing them for every single second that they're speaking. And I've worked at accounting firm as an intern before, and the clients, they always seem like they didn't want to speak with us, because we had to set the timer and start billing them. And so that's a very unique approach. And on that note, can you share a success story or maybe a tough lesson that changed how you serve your clients?
Man, I think a lot of business owners have this. As we grew, we outgrew a lot of our clients that were small, that were stagnant, that, weren't profitable to us anymore. And, we had to call the herd at a certain point. And that happened a number of years ago. But that was hard, firing good clients that just weren't your avatar anymore, that weren't profitable to you. They didn't really do anything wrong. Or maybe they are doing things wrong, but it's hard to raise prices, and it's hard to cut clients that aren't going to do that. And I hear
For
that from
sure.
business owners, everywhere over. No one likes getting rid of clients and potentially losing that revenue.
Yeah.
And so, that was definitely a tough decision to make, that, as everybody always says, was totally worth it, but wasn't fun, was not an enjoyable couple of days writing emails and getting those responses and whatnot. So that's a tough story that I think every firm goes through, every business goes through.
Yeah.
And success stories. My favorite success stories are the clients that use us and call us. My favorite one was a guy here in Texas. His dad owned an HVAC company, and his dad did it the old school way. Basically, if there's money in the bank account, business was good. If there wasn't money in the bank account, business isn't good. And his son was 24 years old, stepped in and said, "I don't know what I don't know. I'm going to go get some advisors. I'm going to read some books. I'm gonna ask questions, and I'm not going to act like I know everything." And contacted us. He bought our full package, full tiered service, cash flow management, advisory, processing, everything. And we cleaned his books up, and they went from losing 50,000 to the next year they made 150,000, and they made 250,000. And it was so fun when he would call. Like, I would jump in and check on how his books were doing, because I was like rooting for him. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is one of the coolest clients ever. This is so much fun watching him
Totally.
be successful. And I think that's probably one of my favorite success stories. As we grew, right, we were going through some of the same things. We're doing cash flow management, he's asking questions, and it's like, oh, I haven't run into that. Let me ask around. Let me figure that out real quick. Like, that's interesting. It was just a fun client. He's still a client.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. It's that's very cool. So, what is the most important takeaway that you would say in, building the culture? Because I feel like all those success stories, and those are amazing. It starts with the fundamentals, building that culture and team building and sustainable long-term growth. And so, how do you approach that as the leader of a firm?
Company culture, which is that like weird, ethereal, what is it? We give a lot of personality exams. When we hire, that's the first thing we do. We I want to work with people. I want to do this with other people. I don't want to be a one-man show, two-man show, whatever. And so, when we're hiring, is this someone that I want to work with? We generally, in our interview process, will have our other employees do an interview with them. One, the interviewee gets to ask them real questions about what it's like working here. Two, the other employees get to weigh in and say, I don't know if I want to work with this person or not. And just keeping that culture and keeping it fun. And I think the other side of it is admitting I don't know everything. I don't even know remotely close to everything. I don't even know what I don't know. But just I kind of want to constantly be on the pursuit of learning more. It's why I'm going to class at night right now, learning new skills so I can do them, understand them, and then delegate them and go learn the next set.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge. I feel like that's where a lot of firm owners kind of fall short is they try to do everything themselves. And like you said with that client success story, what I mean? He doesn't know what he doesn't know. So go partner with an expert, like you guys, for example, to solve what you don't know. Especially in this world that we're in today in 2025 with new technologies and automation, and the world's going crazy, with everything going on. How does Redline navigate that? And are you guys facing any challenges? And if any, how do you plan to overcome those?
Yeah. I think a big challenge right now is it seems, it's April 2025. I don't know when you're going to release this, but it's a little crazy in the world right now with tariffs and economics and high interest rates. And it feels like a slowing down economy. And it feels like everyone is clutching their purse strings and kind of holding their breath a little bit, like waiting to see how this all plays out. And one of the things we're trying to do is we're spending more money on marketing now than we ever have, because when people exhale and open up and want to start doing again, I want to already be in front of them. We can't be with them holding our breath,
Yeah.
because when we all exhale together and then I start doing marketing, it's going to take another 6 months before anyone even sees us. So trying to be kind of different when everyone's holding their breath. We're trying to charge forward, and it's definitely a scary thing to do, but I hope that it pays off, that we're going to be in front of people and they're going to think about us, and when the time is right for them, they'll want to work with us. And but it's wild. Like I said, marketing's a black hole. It's hard to know what marketing works, what doesn't work is,
Right?
so we're spending the money, we're doing the things, I'm doing the newsletters, right? I'm trying to make them really interesting.
Yeah.
I hope it's all worth it.
Totally. Yeah, and I think that's
Uh,
what will separate firms going forward is the ones that position themselves, taking the risk, spending the money on marketing, putting yourself in that innovative role, will ultimately pay off. For example, with the internet, the firms that were anti-internet, just like the whole age of people were against the internet and everything, and they were forced to implement it later, and they fell behind. And
we're
the
going
ones
through
that
that
kind of
right now with
implemented it,
AI. Look,
yep,
everyone's like, oh, AI is taking over, AI this, AI that. We embrace AI here. I love it.
yep,
I'm a huge into Chat GPT. I use it. I use Claude. I use Perplexity. I love our AI tools, but it's definitely, it's something that is coming into our industry, and you can run away from it or embrace it. And we want to embrace it and hope that it works out. But I hear people all the time go, oh, AI is going to take over bookkeeping. And it's like, no, it's not. It might take over some simple things. It might help do
yep.
certain things, but it can't take over context.
100%. That human connection always needs to be there, and especially that advisory role. You know what I mean? Like accounting may automate certain bookkeeping things or things of
Which
that
is
nature,
cool.
but
That
when it
makes
comes
my
to
job easier. Automate away.
exactly, yep,
And I'll focus
exactly,
more on the relationship with you and helping you to
exactly,
reach your goals.
totally, totally. Dylan, it's been great having you on the show today. I think this was a very fruitful conversation for the audience and for myself as well. I learned a lot from you. And for our listeners who want to learn more about Redline or to connect with you, where can they find you?
The biggest, website is redlineba.com. We are on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, Facebook, we're on all the things, Redline Business Advisors. And yeah,
Totally. Everyone who's listening, I want all you guys to go check out Dylan and Redline BA with what they're doing. They're doing amazing things, and you're going to be hearing a lot more from them in the upcoming years.
I hope so.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, sir. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.